11 a.m. in Macau, 4 o'clock Central European time. Cars are on the grid ready for the deciding weekend in the 2006 World Touring Car Championship to get underway. And as they are led away by pole sitter Andy Priaulx, the defending champion, in the best possible position to try and claim back-to-back World Touring Car Championship titles, something that has never been possible before. There was only ever one World Touring Car Championship run before this. That was won by Roberto Ravaglia for BMW. Andy Priaulx, the second ever World Touring Car Champion for BMW, now leads the field, but is a point behind the current championship leader, Augusto Farfus of Brazil. The Alfa Romeo driver, though, will start in 7th place on the grid. 12 points, 9 drivers, 2 races, 18 laps, and at the end of it, 1 champion. We already have our Independence Trophy winner, Tom Coronel. And David Leslie, for him, nothing left to play for now but the enjoyment of racing in the final couple of races of the weekend. But 9 very, very pensive men led by Andy Priaulx at the moment.
But you've got all these people in there, like Tom Coronel, who now has got nothing to lose. He's won his championship. His championship is over. He is the champion. He would like to say, look, I would like to be a work Seat driver. Therefore, I'm going to prove to these guys how good I am. He's qualified himself up there. He's qualified in 6th place. So if he can go out and finish in the top 3 overall, he's got a car to do it. He is the second Seat Leon that's sitting there on that particular championship grid. So he's got an opportunity to go out there and impress the Seat bosses with that independent car. So he's not going to give way to anybody. In the past, he's always given way because he knows he needs to finish the races. He knows he needs to score points to win a championship. That championship is now won. He can go for it now. He doesn't have to think safety. He doesn't have to think, I need to get to the end of the race to score points to win this championship. All done and finished. Now it's going for glory.
Well, I'd say to a degree that's true. However, the one thing that I would suggest that Coronel does not want walking away from here is for people to be saying, do you know what, it's all your fault that the championship ended up being decided by somebody other than one of the championship contenders. And I think that anybody that's not in the top 9 in the points will be desperate not to badly affect anybody else. Sure, if you're in the middle of the field and you've got a championship contender behind you, he's going to have to fight his way past. But if you're Coronel and you're in the top 3 or 4 positions overall, surrounded by Mullers and Priaulx and maybe a Tarquini or 2, then you've got to make sure that it's not you that punts one of these guys off. So it's a bit of a difficult balance, I think. You're right. He's got every opportunity to go out perhaps and even win the races outright. But on the other hand, if he's looking for a factory drive, if he's tagging off other drivers, then that's going to shut doors for him. And there's maybe a potential at BMW here that maybe Jürg Müller might not stay with the touring car team. Seat's operation is almost definitely shrinking from 6 to maybe 4 or perhaps even 3 factory cars. So you know, he's got to be looking in other places than Seat, I think, as well for a drive for next year.
It's not the possibility of him tagging somebody and taking somebody off. It's the possibility of him always moving over to let someone else past. That's not going to happen. He is starting 6th. He's not going to move over and let them pass and go back down the field like he did previously. He will now hang on to his position rather than suggesting that he will go out and push hard and therefore unforeseen or unnecessarily tag somebody and put them into the wall. And as we said earlier on for the warm-up we had here a few hours ago, that there is no room for mistakes around here. Look at it. It is so tight around this circuit. There is no curb, there is no grass, no gravel traps or anything else. If you make a slight mistake, you're in that barrier, and there will be a lot of that during this race. We've got a race that is 9 laps long, and what we can hope for is a clean race where nobody ends up really seriously stuffed in a barrier and has to cause a safety car for a long period of time. We know the guys at Macau, the marshals, can retrieve the cars, even if they are badly bent, very quickly indeed, and get the race back underway. They're very practiced at it. They've had it year in, year out. People do come here, people do make lots of mistakes. We've seen it in qualifying, we've seen it in free practice. We just got to make sure that, you know, we can get as much racing as possible on the 9 laps available to us.
I'll be astonished if either race, or both races certainly, finish at 9 laps. Up to 2 laps can be added for safety car intervention, and that is a very, certainly a very strong possibility. So the cars coming to the grid then for the penultimate time this season. One last hurrah after this, and who will still be in the game after round 19? Andy Priaulx's BMW and the sister car of Dirk Muller on the front row of the grid. Ivan Muller's Seat in 3rd place from Duncan Heisman. They lead the field, 26 cars here at the front, BMWs at the back. The unfortunate Chevrolet drivers who were among those who were caught out in the rainy and red flag afflicted qualifying session, and whose penalties have left them at the back of the grid. 9 drivers for the World Touring Car Championship. Round 19 is go, and immediately Jan Magnussen on the right of the screen, Andy Priaulx's teammate, looking for a move. Priaulx trying to defend both sides at the same time. He's got a Muller in either mirror. Priaulx taking the right-hand line. Oh, and that's one of the Seats from the back of the field. That might have been Thompson or Rydell banging off the wall immediately in the very first corner. Priaulx now on the racing line. He's got to avoid trouble into the first corner. Through the kink at Mandarin and up to Lisboa. That's where it's all going to kick off. It's where it's all kicked off before. It's a high-speed approach at 140 miles an hour down into about a 50-mile-an-hour corner. And there you can see Augusto Farfus squeezing his way through on the inside. And again, it's Jörg Muller. As it was in race 1 last year, car number 43 turned around is Dirk Muller, in fact, and their track is all but blocked. Now, it's not completely blocked, so they can't red flag the race, but the precious few who are squeezing through as Dirk tries to 3-point turn his way out of it. Look at that. That makes awful, awful viewing for the Seat boss, Jaime Puig, with 4 Seats there. And that is Stefano D'Aste. He's already bent the axle on the car. He's shattered a wheel. Andy Priaulx leads, and Priaulx leads from Dirk Muller. It's Jan Magnussen in trouble.
It was Jan Magnussen, I think,
he got them turned around. I think
he was
right.
the one that had everyone queued up behind. And then 4 Seats. That must have been horrendous for Jaime Puig to watch all his cars stuck there, can't go anywhere. So this is now a race with 2 halves. There's the guys at the front who got through, and then everybody else much further back. So
Priaulx with Dirk Muller, and this is Farfus, and Magnussen stuck on the outside, gets tagged around by
43.
Giovinazzi. It is 43.
It is.
That's Magnussen coming in from behind.
43 is Dirk Muller.
It is Dirk Muller, and how he got to be that far behind, I really don't know. But Stefano D'Aste was crabbing away there. That's where D'Aste's wheel got broken. He made a lightning start then. So here are some more coming through. That's Fabrizio Giovinazzi with Jörg Muller behind him. So Giovinazzi must have been fired off an aircraft carrier catapult. But look, this is Lisboa.
It's
exactly
clear.
As you said, David. No safety car, and they're sweeping furiously. They've got about another 20 seconds before Priaulx arrives at Flat Chat, and they're sweeping the debris out of the way as much as they can. So Andy Priaulx will get there. He will have been told on the radio, but he'll have to watch the video to see exactly what was going on there, because there'll be no sign of it.
That's Duncan Heisman in second place.
That is Heisman in second place.
Who it is.
It's the Belgian colours, not German colours on it, Martin. So Heisman from 4th. Dirk Muller then and Jörg Muller both, it seems, got held up in that incident. Certainly the Seat is Ivan Muller, then Augusto Farfus in 4th, Fabrizio Giovinazzi in 5th, and Jörg Muller in 6th position. Well, 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 what an opening lap. And we now have 6 cars and everyone else. There were a couple that squeezed by before Dirk Muller managed to block the track and back up out of the way. One of whom was Stefano D'Aste, whose left rear wheel was half ripped off the car. Jörg Muller is in 6th there. Dirk's shown as 7th, but in fact he hasn't come across the line, so that was how they started the race. not how they are currently. So that's how they went across the line at the start. Only 6 cars have completed a lap, and David, they're out of maternity and down through the Solitude S's. They're halfway round lap 2. Now the field comes across the line.
The top 6 cars are now 13 seconds ahead of the rest of the people. Tom Cornell's managed to squeeze through in 7th place, and Menu, who started at the very back, is in 8th place, well, scoring a championship point.
We saw him going around the outside and getting through the gap before it shut when Dirk Muller backed up. Well, here we go. This is history repeating. Dirk Muller came here last year as a challenger. That's him.
That's Zanardi.
No, that is Zanardi. Okay, so Zanardi is, well, he wasn't in the frame, but that is another Watson's Water BMW. Was that Dirk Muller? We had this last year. He crept in with damage right at the end of race 1.
But Dirk is still going. He has crept through.
Oh,
that's one of the Alphas out.
Well, okay, and that's Stefano D'Aste. Prio has caught Stefano D'Aste,
and everyone stopped behind him. Yeah. This is the area where there's a yellow flag, permanent yellow flag, where you cannot overtake the hairpin.
Stefano D'Aste creeping around.
Queued up behind D'Aste. We know he's got a car that's bent. Can he get round this hairpin? Yes, he can. Now on the run down, you can now overtake it. There he goes. Now that 19 seconds they were ahead. He's just...
Oh, and right behind, you saw Menu getting hit from behind, possibly by Thompson, or was maybe Larini got hit by an Alpha. What was he doing? Well,
that Alpha is in a position whereby there should be no overtaking there.
Well, now that was the one that we saw probably going very slowly earlier, and he just skated into the back. I think they all just checked up so much more. I think that was possibly Morbidelli. I think they just checked up so much more than he was expecting. He just got caught out. It's a downhill approach to there, and suddenly the car in front was stationary. It was just, you know, your motorway tailback.
And there we are, we've got the 6 cars that are up front now very much back together because of that incident.
But look at Prio again. Remember what he did in the morning warm-up? Practice jumping away at the restarts, and that's exactly what he did there. It was like a restart when he was released behind Stefano D'Aste's car, jumped away from Heisman. But look at Coronel closing in now, 7th place. Well, we'll see as they come across the line. No longer 19 seconds behind the leader. He will be something like, I guess, maybe 7, 8 seconds behind Giovanardi. We'll have to wait and see.
And in 3rd place, of course, you've got Ivan Muller. Now, Ivan Muller was one of the people who have a possibility of getting a championship
yes,
out of this.
It's a slender possibility, but it's getting less slender by the moment. Andy Prio leading after 2 laps completed. Duncan Heisman in 2nd. No championship challenge from him. Ivan Muller in 3rd. Now, he was one of those who needed a big score here. What he needs is for Prio not to score, but also he needs Augusto Farfus in the Alpha right behind him not to score. Fabrizio Giovanardi is in 5th, ahead of Jörg Muller. Now, Jörg is seeing Andy Prio extend his advantage, and Jörg will be behind Farfus as well. So he's got Farfus to contend with, and Ivan Muller and Andy Prio in front of him has Jörg. Tom Coronel 7th is now 9 seconds behind the leader, only 5 behind Jörg Muller. So that being held up by Stefano D'Aste, as you said, David, took 15 seconds at least out of the leader. And through the twisty stuff, Heisman closing right up to Prio, and that of course is because his car is so much lighter than Andy's, who's got 65 kilos of success ballast. Heisman's only got a 20 kilo weight penalty, so that really works up through the tight and twisty stuff much more to his advantage. Bart Mampai watching anxiously, but again downhill, all of that extra weight is momentum, and Prio just starts to get away a little bit again. Is Heisman going to challenge yet, or is he going to wait until lap 8 or lap 9?
I think he'll be hanging on to the back of Andy Prio as close as he possibly can, waiting for any opportunity, waiting for the slightest mistake, which is ever so easy to make around the Macau circuit. But further back is Augusto Farfus in 4th place. Now, this is the guy that is leading the championship coming into this race. Dropped back a little bit from 3rd. 3rd is Ivan Muller in the Seat Leon. The only sort of Seat Leon up there, to be honest, because that's in the first group. In 7th place, another Seat Leon for Tom Cornell. But that Honda Accord is there in 5th place with Giovanardi. Now the Honda Accord's had a couple of good races this year.
Heisman looking very busy behind Prio, David. Sorry to jump in, but it looks as though he's shaping for a move. He is. And here comes Giovanardi up behind Farfus. He's very quick as well. Farfus with 80 kilos of success ballast. I was about to say how well he's doing, but Giovanardi just shot by, didn't he? No question about it.
That Honda always has had a very good engine. I used to race one of these cars, we Touring Car Championship a few years ago, and one of the strongest points about the car was its engine, its performance. And you've seen that he drove round the outside of Augusto Farfus, and he's moved himself up from 5th to 4th place. Now he'll want to pull away. I thought I heard some screaming tyres there, and he'll want to pull away and catch Ivan Muller in front of him, and I'm pretty sure he's got a very good opportunity to do that. Giovanardi, he's on a charge. He's not in a championship position, but he wants to show the World Championship team managers that, look, this is how good I am. I used to be here. I'm back now for a one-off race. Yes, I have a job for next year, but please don't forget about me for the future.
Well, particularly maybe for team bosses at Alfa Romeo, who, rumour has it, are going to be launching a new World Touring Car Challenge, perhaps as soon as next year, with the 147 with both petrol and diesel engines. So get the first development year out of the way, and then Gio will cruise back into the old red overalls and the old red wedge back at N Technology perhaps, and become part of their lineup. Now Jan Magnussen we saw in trouble, and there he is on the RBM pit wall, not in any position at the moment to help Andy Prio, but at the moment, as has been the case for the last 3 seasons and more, Prio helping himself. He almost doesn't need a teammate. I'm sure that they would be thrilled to get as competent a driver as somebody like Jan Magnussen alongside. That, I think, is Morbidelli's car. It is Gianni Morbidelli's Alfa. That was the one we saw creeping around very slowly, and then not probably the one that we saw running into the back of either Menu or Larini. I think that was the 3rd Alfa Romeo. I think that was possibly Salvatore Tavano. However, Duncan Heisman dropping back now into the clutches potentially of Ivan Muller, so Prio just pulling away. And in fact, I was wrong about Prio's weight. He's got a 45 kilo, not 65 kilo weight penalty, but Heisman in fact only plus 5 kilos. He's lost some of the 20 kilos that a newcomer gets. Now then,
you can see that they're catching a back marker. Somebody who's obviously been into the pictures out there, still running, and
that might be Alex Zanardi.
He's got the lights on already. His Andy Prio said, "Look, I'm coming, I need some space because I've got 6 very, very quick people queued up behind him who are wanting past him." So he doesn't want held up at all by anybody out there, and he shouldn't be lapping people this early. So somebody's obviously been in the pits and come back out again.
Well, in addition to which, Prio can probably see it's a BMW. The RBM crew can certainly see it's a BMW. There's Charlie Lamb, the Schnitzer team boss. His drivers, Jörg Muller 6th, Dirk Muller 16th. It's not one of them, but I would think that Bart Mampire's probably sent somebody legging it down to Roberto Ravaglia's team, to the BMW Italia Spain team, saying, could you please make sure he either steps on it or gets out of the way? Because if it is one of, well, if it is their other car, that of Alex Zanardi, and I think it might well be, then they really don't want a BMW holding up another BMW when push comes to shove. 5 laps completed in the, working on lap 5 of 9, not 5 laps completed, 4 laps completed in the race. And at the moment, Giovanardi pulling away from Farfus. This is really where Farfus must struggle most, I would think, because of that extra weight that he's carrying. And Jörg Muller's looking for a move. And don't forget how little love there is between Jörg Muller and Augusto Farfus. Farfus, the man who drove him into the pit wall at Spa, drove him off the road at Spa onto the grass, up the Camel straight into the braking area at Les Combes. Jörg Muller won't worry too much if he swaps paint or if Farfus accidentally ends up in the barriers.
And these two guys here that are fighting at the moment for 5th and 6th place are 2nd and 1st, sorry, yeah, 2nd equal and 1st in the championship. So that's a real championship battle that's going on there. Behind there you see the orange car of Tom Cornell, then the first of the Chevrolet Lancettis belonging to Alan Menu. He's managed to pull himself away from James Thompson and that Seat Leon, so Menu looking good for an 8th place finish. That will put him on the front row of the grid, and that's where those Chevys want to be, because they know how quick they've been since they arrived here.
Yeah, I was saying, actually, we were saying this morning after the warm-up that 25th to 8th is what Prio managed to do in the entire second race in Valencia, but that wasn't doable here because there's just not the room to be as cavalier with your lines as you can on a normal racing circuit when you're really up against it. But he just got through the bottleneck in time, didn't he? He must have made up so many places away from the start.
It was Zanardi in front. He has moved over.
Yep.
He's letting the whole 6 past.
Absolutely.
Let them get on with their own race. And it's that latter part of the circuit where Andy Prio really is very quick indeed. And that's where he manages to pull away from the rest of them. But you can see them there now, all in behind him. But on this first part of the circuit, you'll find that Duncan Heisman very much is on the ball. Ivan Muller with the Seat in third place, really hanging in there. Hasn't got an opportunity to overtake, but certainly is very quick. I've got a feeling that Heisman wasn't there. He would be a fraction quicker than he is. But the man out front, the man who's making the most of his pole position, trying to get those points, moving himself back into the championship lead. He had the championship lead for quite a while during the racing season, is now on lap 6 of 9 laps. And he will be trying very hard to keep it between the walls, keep it between the Armaco barrier, and still pushing so hard to get through this very, very tight circuit.
If you're not used to watching cars on street circuits, at the moment it looks as though they're staying a reasonable distance away from the wall, and you might imagine, well, there's a bit of margin for error, a bit of leeway, they could push a little bit harder. Watch when they get to the end of the long fast straight to Lisboa. Prio was so close to those conveyor belts lining the barriers. There's his wife Jo trying to breathe. He was so close to the conveyor belts, they were actually rippling with the wash from his car as he went by. There was not more than 2 or 3 inches, and it seems like a silly thing to say that they are so close to the barriers, but David, we saw after qualifying, one of Andy's wheels had actually, he'd chipped the alloy on it. He'd got so close to a barrier, and that is how close they have to drive lap in, lap out, with no margin for error whatsoever on some of the corners. If you don't shave the barrier, you hit the wall on the exit.
That's right. You just have to be ever so brave and make sure that you can use all of the circuit without that extra inch, which will just drag you in to the barrier when you actually sort of clip it. And so many people have done that, and what they do when they do that is just they tear a wheel off the car. So many people in free practice, when we've seen the cars at the beginning, just the wheel was missing. It just rips a wheel clean off the car. So you cannot afford to make that kind of mistake. But across the start and finish line for another lap.
Augusto Farfus, as he comes across the line in 5th position. Well, he came here with an unexpected championship lead. His championship is not over by any stretch of the imagination. Don't forget, he will, if he finishes where he is in 5th, start 3rd on the reverse grid, whereas Prio will be down in 8th, and they don't have race 2 for nothing. There are full championship points for race 2 as well, so nothing is yet decided, but the more places Farfus loses now, the harder it will be, and that is Jörg Muller right behind him, still trying to find a way by. Farfus now, David, desperately on the defence, and the deal here is not, oh, I'll let him go by and I'll be a place further up for race 2. It's get the points now. Oh, that's Thompson. Oh dear, James Thompson's had
was
enough.
with Larini. That was the 2 cars that were together there. That's one of the Chevrolets, but this is the battle up a bit further up.
Well, Tomo was right behind Alan Menu, wasn't he? So,
Menu's a winner.
oh, and that's Larini.
Oh,
now that is going to bring a safety car out. Look at the wheel halfway up the circuit. There's a crane right beside. Oh, I don't know.
Well, the bumper's gone. The marshal's got that. There's the crane moving already. There's the straps coming over the top. Look at the marshals. They know exactly what to do.
Yeah, get out of the way. Look, but there's springs and dampers and suspension and bits of tyre wall, and they're desperately waving the yellow flags. And here come Farfus and Jörg Muller. They're half a lap away. Looking back from Farfus. Oh, any red paint on it? Well, there's a little bit of scuff there.
And then also right behind that, Tom Cornell's catching these two, because Farfus is so busy trying to keep Muller back that's allowing Tom Cornell to catch him. And as you said, Tom Cornell will take the opportunity to try and win, but not try and take somebody off in the meantime. Certainly not a championship contender. And that's what he's got directly in front of him. 2 championship contenders right at the sharp end of the championship.
Well, Tom's got an even better view than we have of the battle in front of him. And closing up fast, Menu and Tarquini and Zanardi.
There's the car gone, Larini's car's gone already, picking up all the bits and pieces off, throwing it over the barrier as the marshals. They're so used to having to clear this circuit in a hurry. They really do make a very, very good job. But what we have noticed is that Menu is catching Tom Cornell as well. And he has the fastest race lap out there at the moment, has Alan Menu. So he may be in 8th place, but he is still working at it. He's still trying to get a little bit further up.
So going on to lap 8, Andy Prio still the race leader, and you can see how much slower Augusto Farfus is going at the moment. All the work around the tight and twisty corners here with that 80 kilos of extra weight on board his car is really telling. Coronel's lining himself up for a move. Here he comes, he's showing the nose to Jürg Müller nice and early, and if Müller allows him to go, he will go, but not at the moment. Alan Menu, as you said, still in 8th place. Yellow lights are on, and is that going to mean a safety car is out, or is it just...
No, just where Larini went off the lap before, and they were cleaning up the area, basically all the bits and pieces, the debris was around. Now that was because of an incident between Larini and Thompson the corner before, so obviously some damage done to Larini's car. He went in the next corner not knowing the damage was there. Obviously the car stepped out and straight into the barrier, and that was the end of that. He's had an absolutely horrendous weekend when it comes to actually qualifying, because up until that point he was one of the quickest people on the circuit without doubt. Then all of a sudden qualifying went wrong, and in the beginning of the race has gone wrong as well.
Watch the eyes, Augusto Farfus concentrating on the track all the way around, and that's Menu. And the Seat that went by was Peter Terting, and that is Menu. There's not much left to drive there. There goes Rob Huff, picks up a place past him. Terting then gets 8th position. Oh dear, he's
obviously hit a wall. He's clipped a wall somewhere. He's going to try and get that car back. It isn't going to get back. There's too many tight corners, and he certainly will not get round a hairpin with a car that's crabbing like that.
Because it's turning sharp left and the hairpin is sharp right. Farfus still defending from Jürg Müller, and I don't think that Jürg is going to get by him unless Farfus makes a mistake, but under that sort of pressure he might do. Zanardi goes through there, he's a lap down. That then is Peter Terting.
Now in 8th place.
Yes, he is, and that means
to be on pole position
and a chance to win a race for Seat this year, and that's something that he would certainly like. I'll have to restart our timing screen because it's frozen after lap 6, but here is Andy Prio, last lap. That's the board that he wants to see when he's got a 2.5 seconds over Duncan Heisman. 2 3/4 now. Ivan Müller in 3rd, and Heisman will be playing the party line now, just making sure Ivan Müller doesn't get close enough to challenge. He's got to keep him behind and then allow Fabrizio Giovanardi to do the rest. Yeah, Giovanardi putting Ivan under pressure.
That's right, and so now you've got first in a batch of 3 cars, then another batch of 3 cars. So Tom Cornell very much caught up to everybody else.
Here comes Jürg Müller, last lap, having a look, but Farfus glued to the barrier on the right, making sure there was no room there for a BMW unless it was a motorcycle to get through. Compromises his entry awfully, very slow on the way out, but there's just not enough room there for Jürg Müller to take advantage, and that's the way it's been all the way through about the last 4 or 5 laps, David, is that Farfus is just defending, hanging on to that point, hanging on to that position.
It's very difficult to get past, as we said earlier on round here. There are opportunities, and the main opportunity was that one we've seen down at Lisboa corner. After the big long straight is to pull out. Now, unless they waved yellow flags, that'll be, I would think, for Menu's car, which is parked.
Look at the marks it's left. Little red round dots all the way along in that big weavy line.
Still got waved yellows. It must be around there somewhere. That car must be stuck there somewhere on the side of the road, but no yellow lights now. So that car stuck out on the circuit. So Chevrolet, having lost 2 of their cars now, started at the back, come all the way up to points positions, now gone completely.
Push, little push there into the braking area, but no chance yet to get through. And the problem when you've got a damaged car like that is you can't pull off onto the grass. Where's the runoff area? You obviously have to know in your head where there's a crane and sort of stop and wave frantically and hope the marshals get the crane down before somebody runs into the back of you. It can't be much fun. It's like breaking down in a tunnel. Where do you pull off? You can't.
That's right. There's a couple of bits on the circuit, maybe a little bit wider here and there in order to park up, but this is coming through Fisherman's Bend now. One more bend to go, our bend, and then after that you get the checkered flag for Andy Priaulx.
Andy Priaulx on his way then to winning round number 19 of the World Touring Car Championship. It'll be win number 5 of the season for him, and that's a magical number. It's how many he won in 2004's European Touring Car Championship to claim the title then. Priaulx wins, Heisman second, Ivan Muller third, Giovanardi fourth, Farfus ahead of Jürgen Muller and Tom Coronel. That's 5th, 6th and Tom Coronel, and in 8th place is Peter Terting, who will take that pole position for race 2. Priaulx will start in 8th position for race 2 then, but he will start, and he has got maximum points for race 1. He will take the start as the championship leader. So I'm going to leave David to do the mental arithmetic on that one because the other places we need to figure out. But Priaulx will have the points lead, and that for him I think is going to be as important as what has happened to anyone else. I don't see Andy Priaulx's game plan. Nothing they've done so far this season would suggest you to think that all they're doing is watching the opposition. All they are doing here is trying to have 2 good races, and then que sera, sera. But for Priaulx, well, the best possible result in qualifying, pole position, the best possible result for him here, victory in race 1. Now he must finish race 2 and try and work himself up as many places as he can at the start of the race, and the run down through the first 1, 2, 3 corners before it all starts getting tight and twisty. Phenomenal professionalism shown by this team, and a great individual performance again by Andy Priaulx. Cool, calm and collected from pole position. And behind him, well, Jürgen Muller still perhaps in the hunt. Dirk Muller in 14th position though, so no points for him here. And his championship hopes, well, he came in here on 53 points. Priaulx is now on 69, so there's no chance for Dirk Muller to win it. He is definitely out of the fray. And who else is going to be out? Farfus will be on 64 points, so he'll be 5 behind Priaulx going into race 2. Jürgen Muller on 62, he'll be 7 behind Priaulx going into race 2. And Ivan Muller and Ivan Muller is the only other championship contender who has scored a point, and he will be, well, out of contention.
We're left with 4 people left in the championship: Farfus, Priaulx, Jürgen Muller and Gabriele Tarquini. Although Gabriele didn't show anything there, he was 11th in that race. Only 4 people now with a mathematical chance of winning this championship. Gone down from 9 to 4.
9 to 4. Odds are stacking up nicely for Priaulx. Welcome back live to Macau in China. Round 19 of the World Touring Car Championship completed, with pole sitter Andy Priaulx claiming victory, his 5th of the season, and moving into the lead of the championship, and a lead that might prove to be absolutely vital by the end of race 20, the final World Touring Car counter of 2006. Well, Priaulx certainly made the best of every opportunity here in Macau. He was sure to get out onto the track as early as he possibly could in qualifying, set a very fast lap very early on, within moments of the session, starting on his first flying lap, and then reinforced that to take pole position. And from pole position in the first race, he was never headed and rarely challenged beyond the first corner. It's exactly what he was hoping for race 1. The plan could not have gone better. And here's the way it stacks up then. Priaulx on 69 points, the series leader, taking it back from Augusto Farfus, who's 5 behind. Jürgen Muller 7 behind, and 12 behind is Gabriele Tarquini. So he cannot win the championship. It is just a game with 3 players. It's almost as we were coming to Macau last year, when 3 drivers arrived in the former Portuguese enclave with a chance of winning the title. It was Priaulx again then against Dirkmuller and Fabrizio Giovanardi. Both of them are here this weekend, but neither now in the championship. So Augusto Farfus, Jörg Müller can challenge Andy Priaulx. Both of them will start ahead of him on the grid. Jörg Müller will start third, Augusto Farfus fourth in the reversed lineup. So how will they start? Well, Peter Terting's Seat will be on pole. It'll be an all Seat front row because Tom Coronel will start alongside him. Jörg Müller's BMW will start third, Farfus and the Alfa fourth. And some of the, well, moments that some drivers will want to forget. First corner here away from the start, already a Seat in trouble. Jan Magnussen with damage to the right front of his wheel. He played almost no part at all in the race. But his critical contribution to the weekend may have been helping Andy Priaulx get pole. Well, trouble behind all over on this racetrack. In the first lap and in every other lap after that, there was all sorts of contact and collisions with damaged cars, slow cars, bits and pieces being shed all over the circuit. Macau, as ever, taking no prisoners. And as the humidity builds, the temperature rising with it, you can see that the crowd are fanning themselves furiously, and in those cars the drivers have made and the teams have made as many adaptations as they possibly can to channel in some cooling air, because it is like trying to work out in a sauna. It's very fetid, very hot and muggy inside those cars. But after winning last year's championship here in Macau, Andy Priaulx has certainly put himself very much in the front of the chase for this year's crown as well. Priaulx will start in 8th place with Duncan Heisman in 7th in front of him for race 2. Ivan Muller's Seat, no longer a championship contender, will be 6th on the grid. Fabrizio Giovanardi's Honda in 5th position behind Farfus and Jörg Müller. Row 2 of the grid then will contain 2 of our remaining 3 championship challengers, James Thompson and Nicola Larini. Well, we saw the end of that, and there was Larini spinning round into the barriers. That probably dragged his left rear wheel out. And a couple of times, Duncan Heisman in 2nd place looked threatening, but didn't make a pass on Priaulx. Giovanardi getting by Augusto Farfus, and that, although Giovanardi is not a championship contender, might end up being telling for Farfus. If he hadn't done that, then Farfus would have been another point closer to Priaulx at the start of the 2nd race. As it is, all Priaulx could do was take 10 points from round 19 of the series, and that's what he has done. There you see Jörg Müller in the white overalls talking to Dr. Mario Tyson, the head of BMW's motorsport. Dirk Müller behind, talking to our colleague Norbert Okenga, fetching pink photographer's vest he's got there, getting all the juice, and Gary Watkins from Autosport as well. In fact, that is Jan Magnussen there. I'm mistaking for Jörg Müller. Maybe it was the green fringe there. So the drivers waiting then, of course, as the teams prepare for the 15-minute car fixing time. David, some of the halt in the lane we saw struggling round, it's going to take more than 15 minutes to sort them out. We won't be seeing a number of those cars again, but before that, a chance to see our top 3 on the podium. Ivan Müller looks relatively happy with 3rd place. Well, relatively happy. I think perhaps a little more disappointed than he should be. Duncan Heisman in 2nd. And again, you see, that's vital points for BMW ahead of Seat in the Manufacturers' Championship, and also vital points taken away from his championship rivals for Andy Priaulx. Priaulx on the top step of the podium.
Yeah, for the Manufacturers' Championship, BMW 1st and 2nd in that race. That's a big score of points. That's another 18 points maximum. See it scoring only a 3rd there in the next place, down in 7th and 8th. So not many points scored. So really, they are losing this manufacturer's title. BMW are taking it away from Seat here at the very last race. And the independent winner, Tom Coronel, he was 7th overall, but the first of the independent finishers.
Yeah, BMW scoring 18 points and Seat scoring just 7. So BMW's 10-point advantage looking healthier now. Union flag for Andy Priaulx. And BMW, we think now the manufacturers' champions for 2006. They came here with a 10-point advantage over Seat. They eased out a further 10 points. That's 20 points. The most that Seat can earn is 10 for victory and 8 for second position, which would not be enough to overhaul or even tie BMW in race 2. So that should, by our arithmetic, or, well, actually, David doesn't need to take the blame when it's wrong. By my arithmetic, that should give BMW the championship win in the manufacturers series. So Seat's 6-car operation all hangs now on winning the driver's crown, and unfortunately they don't have a driver left in the fray. It's been a big operation all year, David, and it looks as though it's coming up empty-handed.
That's right, they had 7 cars out there and 6 cars all year long, an extra one for this race with Andrew Couto as the extra driver, the 7th driver, but it hasn't worked for them. They have given BMW a race all the way to the end. You have to say they've done a very good job indeed in that respect, but unfortunately at the end of the day they just haven't quite made it. So a lot of effort, a lot of work put in by the C8 guys, a lot of good results. They had some good wins out there, but unfortunately at the end of the day just not quite good enough to take the championship away from BMW, who have been in touring car racing for about as long as I can remember, to be perfectly honest. They are very good at it, very accomplished, and know exactly what they're doing. So if you want to try and beat them and take the championship away from them, believe me, it is a very tough job indeed. And Seat have tried exceptionally hard and have got so close, but at the end of the day, not quite. Now these are cars arriving back on top of a truck.
Right, okay, that's Lorini's then. I was just waiting for it to come into shot before they cut away.
And you see now on the back of the cars, they've now got the driver's name in the local language as well as their own language.
Well, they don't speak English here, or they don't use Western letters, so it's in Mandarin as well, so that the crowd know what's going on as well. Andy Priaulx, race winner. Duncan Heisman, you saw 2nd place. Ivan Muller there taking 3rd place and trying to get the crowd revved up a little bit. And Tom Coronel orchestrating things from the far side of the podium in the orange and black overalls, our Independence Trophy winner. But well, there's a man who's feeling perhaps just a little more relaxed, a little less tense, and actually he's puffing and blowing a lot less than Duncan Heisman. Heisman really looking very hot and bothered, actually, I thought, after the first race.
Yeah, Heisman arrived there on that platform looking very much worn out, as though he had a really hard race. And you have to say, looks very cool indeed. Is he cool enough to take it at the end of the day?
So the top 3 with their trophies, and Paul Tom Coronel wonders if he's standing there for no good reason at all. The manufacturers winners garland goes to BMW again, and there is confirmation of the unofficial result of the race with Priaulx, Heisman and Muller on the podium. So Giovanardi's Honda, again a very strong showing from that car, the Eurocord R, and of course I think part of the reason for getting Giovanardi in is from Yasport to show just what a good car it is, and perhaps to try and interest somebody in running it as a customer car, and again of course to send the message back to Honda to say, look, you've really got a World Touring Car Championship winning potential car here. All it needs is a bit more oomph and a little bit of development and a bit of cash, and we could really do the job, and all those things they've been saying for years since Honda turned their attention away from European touring cars and towards Formula One. So Magnussen, well, they're still working on the car. I wonder if it will appear in any guise at all for race 2, or whether his weekend is run. He's certainly not changed out of his overalls, so he doesn't think it's all done yet.
I think there's a very good opportunity in actual fact for Magnussen's car to appear back on the circuit. They're working very hard to get there, but you see now the pit girls, they're standing on the start and finish waiting for the cars to come back out. And it won't be too long until the pit lane opens. and allows the cars that have been service checked over, refueled, retired, whatever it might be, to come back out. This umpire, he's given the instructions what to do this, to do that. He's obviously got to concentrate on making sure that Andy's car is ready first and foremost, and then Jan's car after that. But this is the incident that set the whole thing off. Augusto Farfus having a battle with the BMW, touching they were, and then it
Giovanardi
was
inside
Giovanardi with a Honda that turned the BMW around, and he was able to get through there.
Now that's what happened to Stefano D'Aste's car. Look,
D'Aste's car just caught. It was the back of it. It was Tom Cornell who touched the back of him.
Yeah, and you just saw creeping into the shot Alan Menu. That's where he just drove around a bunch of cars that were parked by the side of the racing line. So
it looked more like a car park in the local supermarket they did on a racing circuit, to be honest.
Yeah, a bit more expel. I hope they don't park as badly in your neck of the woods, that's for sure. Oh, well, then, mind you, it is Racing Driver Central up there, so they probably all do park like that. Now it's a chance to get into the media centre and hear from our top three. We'll start with our race winner. It is, of course, Guernseyman Andy Priaulx.
Andy Priaulx, a lot of tension out there. You look pretty exhausted. What an important victory. First of all, a word on that key start of yours.
Yeah, I knew that I needed to be first into the first corner because, as you can see, Macau is very narrow and people can easily go into the wall. So I'm very pleased to have done the win from pole position. Obviously, we've still got to perform in the second race.
Of course, it's very good for the World Championship title. 3 drivers left for that one. How are you feeling before race 2?
I'm fine. I'm really enjoying myself. It's a great circuit, and you know, I'm pretty fast around here. So fingers crossed for the second race.
A word on the race again. The fact that you had Duncan Huisman behind you, a BMW driver, was that important for you?
Yeah, it was very important. Obviously, being a single car team, we had Jan here this weekend, but he crashed out the first race, so it was great to have Duncan behind me. Drove a good solid race, and it allowed me to pull a little gap.
The other satisfaction concerns the Constructors' Championship with victory for BMW.
Yeah, that's fantastic, especially with the new car first year with the E90, so congratulations to them. They've done a brilliant job.
Well, thank you very much, and good luck for race 2.
Cheers.
Make a note in your diary, Dave. I think for the first time ever, my adding up may possibly be proved to have been something other than incorrect. Jan Magnussen's bumper there and the whole front end of the car being... oh, look, Jan's pointing. That bit goes on there, look. Let's catch up now with our second place driver, Duncan Huisman.
Duncan Huisman, you like Macau, and it looks like Macau likes you too. A second position today. You must be very satisfied with that.
Yes, I'm very happy with it. After this morning in the warm-up, where I was only 16th because we tried something else, we went back to a qualifying setup, which worked out. It's a great start, and very happy with P2.
A word on that start, and a word on the fact that you had a BMW ahead of you, Andy Priaulx. What went through your mind, or what went through your ears?
Try to keep a distance on Andy. Don't attack him because he's fighting for the championship. I'm not. I'm only fighting for the manufacturer's championship. So I did.
Well, thank you very much, and good luck for race 2.
Thank you.
Now this is kind of reminiscent of last year, where Huisman was tailing Priaulx for the first couple of laps. Who was on pole, wasn't he? No, he wasn't. He was 7th on the grid, and Priaulx was 8th. Got ahead of Priaulx, and then once Priaulx didn't have to win the race, he let Huisman go.
Yvon Muller, you must be satisfied with a good 3rd position. Unfortunately, you're out of the title contentionship.
Yeah, absolutely. For me today it was to try to put the Seat as front I could. Unfortunately, I didn't use my good start because I had to lift off for the 2 guys on the front. But 3rd place is a good position, especially for the first time in Macau.
Other than that 3rd position, it's been a bit of a nightmare of a weekend for Seat because you're not in the title chase anymore, and Seat lose the Constructor Championship.
Yeah, unfortunately it's like this, but I think all the Seat team has worked hard all the summer, and yeah, we are second just behind BMW. We have some disadvantage technically compared to the BMW, so we can be far satisfied of our result.
Well, thank you very much. Good luck for race 2.
Thank you.